Okay, once your clay is centered, you're ready to open it up, which means you're gonna be pushing the clay down and then out so you can get it into the walls to then move it up. There's a variety of different ways to do this. Just like everything in ceramics, there's many different ways that you can accomplish this. No matter what you do, you still wanna maintain a close proximity to the wheel. Keep your arms anchored. You don't need to be in here for this step. You actually do not wanna push forward. So be nice and relaxed, find a neutral position, a little bit of water on there. With my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand, I'm gonna just very gently cup the clay. You can always touch the clay if it's moving. You do not wanna start with it not moving and then turn it on because that can cause a twist. So clay is moving, medium, high speed, gently relax around. There's a variety of ways that you can open. You can take your thumb, you can push your thumb down, you can use your fingers like this. One of the ways that we find here at mudlab to be easier for beginners, it's very stable and anchored, is to cup the clay here, take your other hand, make a gun shape like this, and then you're gonna keep your two fingers over top of each other so that you can use the power of both. Put your thumb over your wrist, so I'm really well anchored here, 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 and here. The index finger is gonna gently slide towards the middle of the clay. So I'm just bringing it around until I feel a dead stop. Once I feel that dead stop, I know I'm in the center. And then I'm gonna drive this finger down into the clay. But as I do this, it's very important that I do not just go straight down, but I actually go down in a V shape like this. Okay, I wanna move the clay down into like a reverse kind of volcano shape, like a V, okay? And then I can move the clay over. A little bit of water in there is gonna be helpful. Find that center, keep your elbows locked in, thumb over your wrist, fingers nice and relaxed always, and push that down. Notice how those two fingers are over top of each other so that I can maintain stability. You do not want to let these things float around like this or be independent. You'll have a hard time. So pushing in, keeping that clay nice and structured. This hand can provide a tiny bit of support, but I do not want to push in to shoot that clay up. That will give me a little bit of trouble. And my goal here for this particular piece is to roughly go 1/4 inch or a centimeter from the base. So take your pin tool, poke it in until you feel the wheel, use your index finger to reference the bottom and then lift it up, and that will tell you how thick your base is. So that's a good kind of starting point for like a general foot that I might want to trim in there later, okay? So that's the pushing down part. Now I gotta pull towards myself. So the reason why we like this technique is because the next step is basically the same thing, but instead of doing like a gun like this, you're gonna kind of turn over a little bit, you know, gangsta gun, I guess. You can be like, this is cops and robbers, and this is maybe, I don't know, I don't get political here, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, all right. So hand on my right here, my left, excuse me. I'm gonna turn my hand this way so I have the gun shape sideways. Thumb on my wrist, and I'm gonna take that middle finger and find that center as I did before. Just remove some of this water so you can really get a clear view inside. So once I'm locked in here, I'm gonna take that middle finger and I'm gonna find that center. I'm gonna pull this hand towards myself, sliding it very carefully and calmly on the, with my thumb on my wrist here, to move basically parallel to this wheel. And what that's gonna do is open that bottom up. So notice how these fingers are moving towards my belly and they're staying flat. I do not wanna lift my hand upwards. It's very common, so stay flat. Another thing you don't wanna do is push into the wheel. So as I'm pulling, I'm doing my best to maintain a flat bottom, okay? And keep an eye on the edge of your form here. If this starts to go out or like come past here, you're at risk of breaking this. So this hand can provide a small amount of support, but you don't want to push so hard that it shoots up, and you don't want to pull so far that you begin to pull past. So that right there is starting to go a little bit far, and you can see it's pulling past here, which could potentially cause this to separate. So maintain almost like a cylindrical form here on the outside as you pull open. So that's a general open. I got about an inch or so thick wall here. I'm gonna take my sponge now and I'm gonna compress the inside. So always elbows down throughout this entire process. No matter what you're doing, you have your elbows down and you're connected in more than one way. So connected here, and I'm gonna connect my hands together. Take the sponge, make contact right where the floor and the wall meet, and I'm just gonna slide gently towards the center, gently towards the outside. A little bit of pressure, and you'll notice if you look on the inside here that this sponge is smoothing out that base and giving me that foundation of whatever pot that I wanna make, okay? So I'm just gonna make a cylinder here, so I wanna make sure that the inside of this pot is nice and cylindrical. So just applying a little bit of pressure, sliding towards the center, hanging out, and moving back towards the outside. This is gonna not only aesthetically smooth things out for me, but it's also gonna make sure that it compresses and packs that clay in, which can help me reduce the chances of things cracking later on, okay? Before I get into my lift, one thing that I can do just in case I, let's say, opened and things got a bit wobbly, which is very common. So let's say my pot accidentally, I really did a crazy job and I wasn't connected and now my pot looks like this. A really easy way that you can kind of restructure and recenter your pot, and I would recommend you doing this throughout your process as you're kind of opening and getting into the initial stages of your pot, is take your non-dominant hand, so it's my left hand here, relaxing it on my thigh. I'm gonna use this part of my kind of fingers where the palm and the fingers meet. I'm gonna curl my fingers over the clay, and then I'm gonna have my sponge wrapped around the top of the clay, and behind my thumb is gonna be making contact at the back. So fingers here like this. This is a small amount of clay, so I'm gonna be kind of cupping it quite a bit. Thumb at the back here, and then sponge is gonna go over top. A little bit of moisture on here from my fingers can help. That's gonna wrap around the top, and I'm gonna push everything forward and down at the same time. Really anchor yourself in here and connect here as well. So notice how well I'm connected, and I'm just gonna squeeze in a little bit, and apply pressure over the top, and just wait, just hang out. This can take a second, but if you just hang 10 and just stay stable, you'll notice how quickly that kind of comes back into the center, okay? So if you ever notice that you messed up your clay on the open, this is a way to restructure. And then later on in our sort of semi-level up classes, or level 2, we teach you how to actually do a lift from this position. Okay, we won't get into that today, but that will be the precursor of that same position. So for now, you can use that to restructure your pot, which can be super helpful.